Well, David, thanks for taking a little time to talk to us today and share your story and, again, your experience that you had in MLB. But we got to go back to the beginning. We like to start the beginning with our guests. You're from Colorado. Obviously, you played baseball, but I would think there's other sports mixed in there as well because, baseball in Colorado, I'm assuming you couldn't get outside maybe until late spring, right?
Yes. No sports though. No sport. Well, so when I first grew up in Colorado, well, first of all, hello everybody. How you guys doing? When I first grew up in Colorado, we were like kind of in the foothills, so I'd ride horses and do stuff like that. But I loved baseball, like deep down to my core, and that's all I thought about. I didn't want to play football. I didn't want to play basketball. I didn't have the skill for it either way. And like, I moved from Colorado to Southern California, then back to Colorado. So to me, it was like baseball. My real heyday was like baseball in Southern California, Little League, and you're playing it all the time, and then you're playing with your friends and stuff. But it was baseball the whole time, and I'm probably confusing everybody with the Oregon shirt. I went up there for ESPN. I did the regional for the College World Series tournament for the regional at Oregon. So had to pick this up when I was there to remember that moment. But no, baseball 24/7 for me, just loved it.
And from that, when did you think that it was going to take you to college? You go to Penn State, eventually transfer to Rice. Was that always in the cards, always in the plans for you to play baseball on the collegiate level?
It was probably, there was a moment my sophomore to junior year where we had a really kind of coming to Jesus conversation with my parents. Like, is this going to be a route that you're going to do? Is this going to be something that's not just a dream, but are you going to make this reality? Are you going to make this happen? And there was definitely a shift at that moment where it became a passion, a love, a thing I did all the time to this is going to be the way I get to college. This is going to be the way I make a living. And we kind of had a real conversation like, all right, if you're going to treat it like that, you have to treat it like that. And baseball became a passion and work after that point. It became work for me, but it was a work I loved and I wanted it more and more and more, but it was no longer, I do what the teammates do. I throw what the teammates throw. I work what the teammates work. I do that plus everything well beyond what they ever did. And that was, I always had the mindset for it, but I didn't have that push in that direction. So when we really seriously made that happen, then everything took off. I was the last kid picked in we had a freshman team in high school. We had two freshman teams, and I was the last kid on the second freshman team. I was never the one you would have expected. I was not the all-star, the kid that was better. I wasn't this great athlete. I never even thought I was going to be a pitcher. I thought I was going to be an outfielder, third baseman, and I was, okay my freshman year. I had a good year, like went from the last kid pick to starting every game, like third base, not really pitching much. And then sophomore year, third baseman, but I'm behind the dude who was, way better than me. And then I realized like, okay, pitching started getting pretty better. I'm like, I want to be a pitcher. And then had that conversation that summer and everything went, and that's when it took off. Pitched twice on the varsity team my junior year, still not the dude you would ever expect. And then senior year, that's when like that junior summer to senior year, everything happened. And I ended up going from pitching 2 games my junior year in high school to winning Gatorade Player of the Year, All-State for everybody. So like when people talk to me about like they're struggling as juniors, we're not starting enough. I'm like, dude, it's fine. Like just put the work in and stop worrying about it. Put the work in.
Was it the work? Was it your body as well? Did your body kind of fill in at that point and kind of catch up to everything? Was that a plus?
I always had the work. I always had that like work ethic. I always had that, like I was going to the gym, doing my legs. I wouldn't do upper body. Like I do like the normal arm care upper body, but I couldn't do 20 push-ups to save my life. But I was lifting legs like an animal. I was bodybuilders. I was blowing them out of the water, doing leg work, running, throwing long toss, like working on my delivery 24/7. So all of those things happening. Then, like you said, all of that, like my body grew into that. Like finally everything, the coordination hit and all that work kind of paid off. And that's when it hit. I always had the mindset, I always had that stuff. It just kind of happened. And that's why everyone goes, oh, like you were naturally born to throw hard. Like, no, it wasn't. Not at all. I created it, and it happened. I had the genetics to maybe make it happen, but it got created, and then it all hit and took off.
Take me through recruiting, because again, you start at Penn State before you transfer to Rice. Penn State's not a huge power when it comes to baseball. Rice probably more. Obviously, you won a College World Series when you were there, but take us through your mindset and what that recruiting process was like for you.
I had nothing, no offers, no nothing. I did want to sign early because like that junior year, that junior summer, things started happening. I was going to showcases. And on days when guys were struggling, I remember there was one in Trenton, New Jersey. It was raining and bad weather out, and it was bad. Everyone's in coats and jackets, and I hit like 90 or 91 like 5 times in a row, and everyone else was like 85, 86. And it was like, who is this guy from Colorado? And I'm like, dude, this is great. It's 20 degrees warmer than in Denver right now or something. And so what I really did was that junior year, right after my junior year, I created a letter and we wanted to separate ourselves somehow. There was no D1 in Colorado besides Air Force. I loved Air Force, but that's a different route, man. Wasn't for me. So it's like, all right, if we're going to get out of here, I have to recruit myself. I need to get everything out there. So we created a schedule of showcases, one in Florida, one in Trenton, New Jersey, one at Wichita State, one down in Southern California. And then we created a letter, got a couple, people to talk, give a little quote about me with their phone numbers and stuff. They talked to me, some pretty high ranking scouts in the scouting world, send it to every single D1 in the country with my schedule and say, I will be here at this date. And then like 2 weeks later, followed up with a phone call, just saying, dude, hey, wasn't very nice to meet you. I'm David Aardsma. You only get a quarter of the people to even answer the phone.
Yeah.
And then you only get 10% to even listen to you. And then, but when I show up to the showcase, the thing that separated me was I would walk to everybody and shake their hands. I don't care. If I thought they were a college scout, I shook their hands. The amount of parents I probably shook hands, like, very nice to meet you. So I was out there pushing hard, and then I would back it up and say, I would go on the field and I'd be able to hang with anybody in the country at that point. There were some dudes ahead of me, but like I was hanging. And that got my name out there. Penn State jumped all over me. And right initially, the moment they saw me up in Trenton, they offered me a full ride scholarship. Took a trip. And then the only other offer I got was to wait. And maybe Wichita State was interested, Oklahoma State interested if I waited. And so Oklahoma State wanted me to walk on and then maybe give me a scholarship. And so Penn State was like all over me, full ride, full everything. I was like, heck yeah, let's go. But at the time they went to the super regional. So they won a regional, went to the super regional. So they were kind of growing. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be perfect. It just didn't work out like that.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously, nowadays it's easier to transfer and make that change. You go to Rice. So what was about Rice? And what did you see in that? Because again, like I said, you go to the College World Series, you win the College World Series. Hall of Fame coach Wayne Graham. What kind of influence did he have in your decision to go play for Rice?
Oh, absolutely. He was the decision to go play for Rice. So I'm at Penn State. I had the most appearances on the team as a freshman, which is kind of crazy. I was a starter, mid reliever, closer, everything. It didn't matter. Give me the ball, and I'd figure it out. We had some pretty good starters ahead of me. Throughout the year, we ended up being an okay team, about 500. We go to the Big Ten championship tournament at Ohio State. I'd already told my parents in like December that I was thinking about transferring, or like January, I was thinking about transferring. And so they kind of got the word out, and my parents had moved to Houston. So they got the word out to a guy named Butch Gutzman, and he kind of knows everybody in the baseball world in Houston, and he's connected, fingers in everywhere. One catcher was at Rice, the other was at Wake Forest. They're number 1, number 2 in the country, and his sons are the catchers. Like, he's fingers in everything. So he had got the word out. Rice was their assistant coach. It was Mike Taylor. His brother's Randy Taylor, who was the scouting director or head scout for the Rangers. They're at Ohio State scouting Nick Swisher. So Nick Swisher's at Ohio State junior year, all world. He's going to be first rounder. Ended up obviously with Oakland and then Yankees and that whole story. But he's there. We play them game 1 of the tournament, and it starts raining in the second inning. So they postponed it to the next day. So instead of starting our starter, they start or our number 2 or our number 3 for some reason. Like Joel Hendeling picked me. Don't know why. Still don't know why. We'll never know why. And so I had no reason pitching that game, but I pitched 8 innings, like gave up 1 run or shut out, struck out Nick Swisher 3 times. And in front of Randy Taylor, who then calls Mike Taylor and says, go get this guy. And then he tells Wayne Graham, get this guy. So 2 days later, when we're leaving Penn State, first phone call was from Rice that, hey, you're already coming to Houston. Just come by for a game. I go watch them in the regional, like shut out somebody, the number 1 draft pick, Kenny Ball, number 8 pick in the country, shut somebody out. And I'm like, you're looking for a number 1 pitcher? Like it was a perfect scenario. They offered me no money. But I said, absolutely. Like, I'm here to work. I'm here to play baseball, man. I'm not here for anything else. I will get an incredible education. I'll put everything I have into that. But while I'm here, man, I'm playing baseball. And they're the number 1 team in the country. What are you going to do? The number 1 and number 2 starters were drafted in the first round. They've got nobody else, and they're looking at a bunch of freshmen or me, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, it certainly worked out for you, for them as well. Like I said, you went to the College World Series. 2002, you lose it. You go 0-2. How much did that drive you in 2003 coming back and what you guys were able to do in actually winning that College World Series that next year?
So that's a cool story. So everybody in college baseball, everybody, when the teams are together, you're all right, what are you going to, okay, on 3, say whatever. So almost everybody says Omaha, because that's your goal. Get to Omaha, get to the College World Series. And in 2002, that was our thing. Omaha. Well, 1, 2, 3, Omaha. And we did it. We were number 1 team in the country, number 2 team in the country, whatever. And we lose to Texas in the most heartbreaking, crazy finish. If you ever see that game, like the way the game ends is incredible. Second game, we lose to Notre Dame on a walk-off grand slam. Heart-wrenching pull. We 0-2. Rice has always had this history of getting to the College World Series and sucking. Been there like 5 times, 6 times, never had won a game. So the next year, I'll never forget, our strength trainer got us all together and said, we're going to change this. Like, no more getting there. Getting there is not good enough. Champions don't get there, and you're not happy with that. Champions win it. Goes on 3 national champions. Mm-hmm. And so from that moment on, it changed your mindset of like, that's awesome. Like, that's just so simple. So everything we did was, no, like, we're going to win this. What are we doing here to win the national championship? Not what are you going to do to get there? And not even that. It's like, what do champions do? Do that. And like, don't expect anything less. So if we ever saw anybody doing anything less than being a champion, like, we would get on them, like, as a team. And then so you got there and it was like, dude, all year, we're going to roll through this thing. I don't think there was a single person on our team that didn't believe that we were going to win it.
And for you were a huge bright spot. 2 wins and a save. Did that help you in, I know you went to the Cape Cod League prior to that, but did that help you really get recognized and become maybe a draftable guy and an entity out there for some of the Major League Baseball clubs?
Well, the cool thing was that the draft was actually before the World Series. Draft was before the Super Regional. So you'd play the regional, then the draft would happen. And then so you're still playing baseball while, all right, well, this guy's a first rounder, that guy's a first rounder, this guy's a third rounder. And so that was a neat moment, but it was tough initially to just it took a couple of days to forget this. Like you're answering all the questions about the draft. Well, now you got to go play Houston in the regional, who's legit national contender. And they beat us game 1. And now we got to beat, we're 0-1 in our ballpark. We got to win 2 in a row when we do it. Then we go to the College World Series. What it did was it was neat because it was a couple of the best closers in the country were at the College World Series. And it was neat to see myself right up there against them every day and beat them, and do things they weren't doing. Chad Cordero was drafted ahead of me and had an incredible career. Beat him, or Houston Street, beat him. And so that's those moments. We're standing where those guys can't stand. And now I'm going to go see them in professional baseball here in a week. And so it was neat to finally be on that level and see guys and compare yourself, and Ryan Wagner at Houston was a first rounder. There's 3 closers in the first round back when no one drafted closers close to the first round. And there's 3 closers and I ended up having to face all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's right. You make a good point that the draft was before and it's changed now since. But so how do you do that? How do you, okay, you know what's out there, you get drafted and then you've got to go still play. I mean, how did you do that? How, such a mental sport to begin with.
Wayne Graham. Wayne Graham sits you down and tells you, hey, lock it in. And you don't really get a choice with Wayne Graham. The way he coached and the way the support system is they really quickly grab you, bring you back down to earth and say, we will enjoy that. We will have time. You will have time to enjoy that. You're still working. And not only this, but it's a life lesson. You're going to have these moments where you get recognized or something happens or you get traded or somebody gives you a player of the week honor. You still have to work. And I had one of those moments in the middle of the year, we were rolling, we had a 30-game win streak. We all kind of got complacent. And then we have this run of we lose 5 out of 10. And so it's get back to work, refocus, have to relock in. Now try to catch that before that happens. So you get drafted in the first round, relock it in. Do not let this be who you are. That's just a recognition of who you are. But that's an outside recognition. It's not internally. What are you going to do every single day? And that was that really quick turnaround, that flip. It took a day. You get all the questions, all the practice, where all the interviews are there. And next day, you get back to work, and it just becomes another Tuesday. Don't let it become the best day of your life while you're still living it.
Wayne Graham, I mean, were you the player that you became if you don't go to Rice and you don't have somebody like him as your coach and somebody who leads you?
God, no. No, not even close. The amount of times that I grew up in front of his eyes because of him, because of there's times where he had to yell at me, times he had to scream at me, times I thought I was going to die, times where he had to pick me up, times he had to hug me, times he had to do all these different ways. But it matures you and you realize really quickly, he's not here to coach college baseball. He's here to coach men into becoming, even better men, boys and grow you up to become men. This happens to be through college baseball. And there's no way I get through the things in my career without him.
Well, again, drafted by the Giants, eventually make your debut. You made your debut from single A to Major League Baseball, right? I mean,
yes.
That's kind of unheard of. What was that like, first of all, to do that? And, again, mentally to have all that going on and going from such a lower level to the show.
Especially back then, too. It was a different deal. College, professional baseball now, the way it's structured, the way it's designed now is built to get guys up as fast as humanly possible. When it was designed opposite of that. It was designed to hold you down as long as possible to get you ready to then the moment you walked in, you were a known product. Now it's hey, you got a great arm, get up here.
Yeah.
Versus no, you still need to go through all these things. That was a fast track. And I don't know if I was ready for it mentally. I wasn't ready for it stuff wise. I threw 95 to 100, but that doesn't matter in the big leagues. That just got me another foul ball. That was it. But I couldn't throw enough strikes. I didn't have a great enough off-speed pitch to compete on that level on what I was expecting for myself and what you needed to do in the big leagues. And you're going to a team that's expected to win the World Series, not expected to just play baseball. The time, which is, I don't even know who was maybe now it's hard to remember who were the bad teams back then, but let's just say if it was the Marlins, right? It wasn't, but let's just say it was the Marlins. You might get a little time and you might get through those struggles. You're on a team that won the division the year before that went to the World Series and was a pitch away from winning it or whatever. You compete. And that was hard. And it was difficult for me to figure it out, but it took a little time and I got it.
Well, again, that debut, you got the win against the Astros. Yes. April 6, 2004. You go 2 innings, 3 hits, no runs. One of the balls back there, is that a ball from that game, that first win?
The first win, no. The first win is in my parents' house.
Okay.
They have that first ball. There's a lot of the other ones, though, first save and all that stuff. But yeah, how about that? You know what? And what the scorecard doesn't even tell you, don't even realize it unless you get into it. it was a scorer's discretion. I wasn't even pitching when we got the lead. I forgot who started. It might have been Kirk Reeder. I might have started the game, or Jerome Williams. I started the game. I think it's against Andy Pettit, and we kind of got blown out a little bit. We're behind. I came in to pitch like the fourth and the fifth, or third and the fourth. And no reason, like and it was like bullets, dude. It was like 3 hits, 2 innings, 3 hits. And it was like, like what's going on? And then like double play. I'm like, oh yes, and that works. Or like pop up, like deep fly ball pop up. And so it was definitely an intro, but it was the Astros. People, that lineup. My first batter I faced was Craig Biggio. And then it's like, all right, cool. You got Craig Biggio. Great job. Here's Jeff Bagwell. Yes. Oh, Jeff Bagwell. That wasn't hard enough. Here's Lance Berkman. Here's Richard Hidalgo. Here's Lamb. Jeff Kent. Oh, don't worry. Just another Hall of Famer. Like, and these were in their prime. All of those guys were in their prime. That was the best lineup in baseball. And it's like, this is your intro to Major League Baseball. Congratulations. Good luck. And so that was an incredible introduction, especially because I knew Lance Berkman. I knew, Brad Lidge too, as their closer. And, Brad Lidge went to the same high school as me. Lance Berkman went to Rice. So it was cool. Like, you're doing the line and they're giving you like, what's up? Like, they're all pumped up for you. And the crowd goes crazy because Rice is in Houston. So when they announced me, like, I'm I get more cheers on anybody on the Giants roster. Like, why did the rookie, So that was really, really cool. It's a great introduction right to the big leagues. But man, I wasn't getting by with much. Like, it was like, you get the win though, and you just got to live it, live the dream.
Yeah, that's a hell of a welcome to Major League Baseball moment for you. Like you said, the Hall of Famers you faced, being in Houston, that's incredible for you. And again, as you said, you probably realize the difference going from college to pro, and then you realize that maybe the business of it once you get traded away from the Giants to the Cubs as well. What was that like the first time that you leave a team because you get traded?
So I was laying in my bed. I was in Norwich, Connecticut. So went to the big leagues. I realized, and they realized that I needed to work on my pitches. I had the stuff to be a big leaguer. I didn't have the pitches to be a big leaguer. I had the mentality to be it too. I was already a big leaguer mentality. I just didn't have the stuff. And, sometimes you got to grow up too, and you're still young, 21, 22. But so I'm in AA as a starter, working on my pitches, trying to just throw them more. That's basically this whole thing. They said, we can't send you to AAA. AAA is loaded with starters. You're going to be a starter though. So you're going to go to AA, actually probably the best roster we had in all of minor leagues. It was loaded, but they're like, you're going to pitch like Matt Cain's on the team, like Merkin Valdez. We had I got the number of guys. So Brian Wilson, their entire World Series rotation was basically in AA at that time. And they're like, just throw the ball, just throw sliders, throw curveballs, throw changeups, learn other pitches, try anything and just throw it. We don't care about numbers. And it just wasn't quite working. I was pitching really well. I had led the league in wins and ERA, but because I still had the stuff, worst comes to worst, I'm still just going to rear back and throw a fastball by you. It's just, you don't get away with that in the big leagues. So it's working, but it's not. I'm not learning the stuff. But then laying in bed, get a call from the Giants. Hey, you've been involved in Major League Trade. We sent you to the Cubs. Thank you for your service. They'll be in contact with you. That's it. Like, wow. What did 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's your introduction to the business, man. Like, they're like, hey, we loved you. Nothing wrong with you. Great job. Good luck. And then the Cubs call you. Like, hey, we're so happy to have you. Here's a number. We're going to send you this. And then 30 seconds later, you're like, what just happened? It hurts. It gets you a little bit. Somebody doesn't want you. Your team doesn't want you. They picked you and then they don't want you. And you feel like a failure because you did something. And I wasn't standing in the big leagues as the number one prospect and doing all this stuff. I was battling and having to battle like in AA, where I would have been normally though, like if a normal route, right? But I'm a failure in AA because I already been up. So you kind of feel like let down, but then at the same time, the Cubs watch you. And then that's my dream team. Like I grew up watching the Cubs. I had a bird named Harry Carey. My bird was Wrigley. He would say Harry Carey quotes when I walked in the door. Like I Cubs everything. It's Ryan Sandberg up in the corner, and my nice. Cubs everything on the wall. And so that's a dream come true though. So it's like, let's go. This is great. So, but it wakes you up really quick. And I'll never forget, my agent called me. He goes, hey, he goes, congratulations on the trade. This is awesome. I know it's a dream come true. He goes, just get ready for this. He goes, you're a reliever who got traded in your first year. He goes, it's going to happen. You're going to play for about 10, 15 games. Just roll with it. Learn it. Feel it, love it, and just get used to it. And he was completely right, because he goes, once you get traded and you're a rookie, like once you're young, you get traded.
Yeah.
No one has the vested money into you. You're just going to get moved. He goes, no matter how good you are, you're going to be a trade piece, in every little move, because you throw really hard and you have the stuff, you will be an asset. And so, yeah, it was Jerome Williams, LaTroy Hawkins. Well, me and Jerome Williams were LaTroy Hawkins. And it's so funny because LaTroy and I became like great friends later on in our careers. So it was always fun to have that little connection. Yeah, traded Cubs though, man. That was awesome. Like that was my dream come true. But I'm a starter, and now I'm looking at the Cubs rotation. You got Greg Maddux, Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor. Like, are you kidding me? Carlos Zambrano, Clement. Clement was on that team. Then you had like all these guys coming up through the system.
And so you got called up with them in 2006, right?
2006, yes. And so, but in 2005, when they traded for me, like one of the first things I did was go right in the front, right into the coach's office and I'm not a starter, guys. Like, I'm never going to be a starter here. Giants, maybe. Here, not a chance ever. And they go, yeah, we probably agree with you. Go back to being a closer. And then got back and started to learn, establish myself a little bit.
Was it hard to realize again that you were going to make a lot of stops, kind of be a journeyman in a sense in Major League Baseball? Did you at some point, accept that?
Yes. Yes. Very quick. When the Cubs traded me to the White Sox, that was the full acceptance, because that one hurt even more, because then it's your dream team. Like the first team that drafts you, you buy into it. I'm in. I'm a Giant for life. Let's go. And then the dream team picks you up. You're like, all right, yeah, all right. I can live. I'm okay with this. Let's go. And then they trade you to like the rival, and you're like, come on. Like the White Sox, nothing wrong with the White Sox. Like the White Sox were a legit, really good team. It's just like my dream. And then they trade you. Now it's like, all right, business, go back about it. Like forget all this. I can just do your job. One of the best things ever said to me when I was a Yankee, Brian Cashman walked in the locker room. Everyone's bitching and moaning in the media about like not knowing what the roster is going to be. Or we're going to move, trade. There's so many rumors, all this stuff. And he goes, guys, stop. He goes, your job is to play baseball. Your job is to be on the field every single day and do your best. And if you do your best, you're going to make a lot of money. And you're going to, no matter what team you're on. He goes, but your job's not to be a Yankee. Your job's to play for your play. And if you're wearing a Yankee uniform, you're a Yankee. He goes, my job is to put the best 25 guys in those rosters I possibly can and to win a World Series, like to put a team in place to win a World Series. He goes, you do your job, you're going to make a lot of money. If I do my job, you're going to make a lot of money. He goes, and if you're a part of it, we all win. He goes, so just do your job. He goes, everything else will be fine. And walked out the door and went, yeah, it's pretty simple. I like it.
Blunt, honest, but yeah, you're right. It's simple. It's, everybody's a winner if you just do your job. And maybe, your best years of doing your job was in Seattle. You had back-to-back years there as well. Did that help? Did you know you were going there and you were going to be there for a couple of seasons?
Was with the Red Sox. First half, killed it. I had like a 2.70 ERA or something like that, even like below that. I think it might have been like a 2.5. Absolutely destroying it. The game before the All-Star break, I tear my adductor. So I tear my groin. And so I have this really bad groin pull, groin, strain. Tried to pitch on it in the second half because this first ever injury, it just feels like, man, I just got to stretch it out, right? And stretching out is making it worse. And so I had like an 8 ERA in the second half. So I ended up with a 5 something. And then I get traded from, World Series contender to the Mariners, who lost like 110 games the year before. And I'm like, man, like, dude, where is this going? And one of the greatest things ever talked to me was Z. Oh my God, I'm trying to the GM with the Mariners at the time. I'm just dying on names right now. But he took me in the office. He said, David, you're about to have the best season of your career. I'm like, why do you say that? I always believe that. He said, because I know what you did in the first half. I know it was an injury that stopped you in the second half, and you're a perfect spot in your career. We're a perfect team to give you an opportunity. You can go out there and kind of get punched a little bit, and we're gonna pick you right back up. He goes, you don't realize the amount of support you're about to get, and you've never had that. And so just do your thing, be ready, prepare every day, and you're going to have the best season of your career. And I did. And then 2 years in a row, I had the best season of my career. And it was absolutely perfect time of my career, mindset, everything. Just like kind of happened in high school, kind of happened in college. Everything locked in at that perfect time. And it was go from there.
Yeah, just missed out on an all-star. And then 2010, you converted 31 of 35 saves. Again, getting that reinforcement, how big was that to help you, to go out there and, again, just do your job?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is, I think I'm the first, maybe only pitcher to ever save more than 30 games for a team that lost 100, something like that. Some record like that, which is really hard to do when your team is battling, to actually be out there and get those saves. And I ended up with 69 saves over 2 seasons. And having that support, having teammates behind you, and having, what was great was especially in 2009, where a lot of players that were kind of thrown together on a team and said, guys, like, you're all at a weird spot in your career, make it or don't. And we're all like kind of pulling together in one direction, saying, if we're going to make it, we're going to do this together. And it was a lot of fun. One of the best seasons, best teammates, best everything. All the friends, almost all the friends I have in my career are from those teams, the 9 and 10 teams. And I loved it. And yes, having that support and having that backing, man, it was amazing.
So again, the Mariners, Yankees, Cleveland, St. Louis, Dodgers, Miners, Braves, Blue Jays, even the Long Island Ducks in there for a while. When did you come to the realization? Okay, this is it. You've played as long as you can play. You've made all these stops. When did you decide that retirement was the best thing for you at that time?
So I always saw the end as something that was going to happen eventually. So I was taking classes. I was taking college classes during my career. I was even doing internships during my career. I did an internship with the Yankees when I was with them. I had a hip injury, really major hip injury. And my first game back from the hip injury blew my elbow. So you're kind of like, and you're battling just to get back. What really did it in for me was when I got back, and I was throwing hard. I was throwing 92, 93, 92, 95, sitting in there, looking great, getting the numbers. And every day it became more and more work just to be on the field. The recovery after games were getting longer, an hour and a half after a game. I'm sitting there doing stuff just to be ready for the next day. Then I'm showing up, first guy at the locker room, just to get ready every day. And then the back end, you're not getting the phone call to make it back to the big leagues. And it just became that is the first time baseball became like real work, where you're not enjoying it. You're showing up. I love the Long Island Ducks. I had so much fun with the players. Some of the most fun I ever had in my career was on that team, without a doubt. The most professional fun I had. And it was like 25 guys who just were there for baseball. And it was awesome. I had so much fun. But at the back end, to be on that field every day took so much work. It was draining, and it was draining in life. And I'm watching my wife and kid grow up without me, and I'm seeing them. Now they're going to school, and I don't get to go with them. And so that was the final kind of thing. And we had that deep conversation with my wife, who's been incredible throughout the whole thing, pushing me to go, pushing me to train. I'm flying to Louisiana to train. I'm doing all these different things, and she's pushing. And finally, I had that conversation, like, this is not the same fun personally, to show up every day and have to get ready. That's no more. I didn't find the fun in stretching anymore. That's the problem when you're not enjoying stretching. And so that's when And I pitched my butt off at Long Island, but it just wasn't, it was good. I was done. But I also knew I've never had a regret since. Not one. I've never sat back and said, I wish I was still pitching. Now I wish I was still competing, or when I was with the Blue Jays working in the front office, watching players not compete, that bothered me. Like, dude, just give me the damn ball. I'll go right now and compete. Now I don't want to go and play baseball anymore, but I will beat you, because it's mentally, you're you're not doing it mentally. And like, that would bother me, but I never had that like fire to play again.
So how'd you reinvent yourself? What are you doing now? What have you done to maybe still stay, within the realm of the sport and the game to kind of, keep that still in your life?
A couple things. One, like I said, when I retired, I took a front office job with the Toronto Blue Jays. So I ran there with the pitching coordinator. I ran the pitching department for the Blue Jays for 3 years. Loved it. Loved it. The hardest part though too was I was working in Florida, families living in Scottsdale, Arizona, going back and forth kind of was just wearing us out. COVID happened. And then I was at home every day. I'm like, dude, I kind of like my wife and kids, man. These guys are awesome. And so mutually departed ways with the Blue Jays. After that, I started a pitching business. So one of the things that got me back to the big leagues after my hip injury, after my Tommy John, was a company called Top Velocity. So a pitching player development business that really puts athletes in the best position for themselves. They learn biomechanics, I learned pitch data, learned everything. I took that into the Blue Jays and my career. And so I have a Top Velocity here in Scottsdale, Arizona that I work out of my house. I do work with MLB Network Radio, ESPN. I'm actually going to be doing the Little League World Series regional out in California. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I do some college baseball. I also have another business called the Batter's Box. So really, really cool business. And so we do a travel bag for teams that are going to Cooperstown, New York for the baseball tournament.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of teams are going to this tournament, crazy numbers of teams. And so we make a bag that every kid has to stay in dorms. So we make a bag for the dorms, like sleeping bags, pillows, socks, pins, bubble gum in there, toiletries, everything. So it's called the Batter's Box. And then I'm just dad and coach, man. Coach my son. He's 13. My younger son is 13. So I coach him in baseball and we do the pitching training and stuff like that. And that's so much fun. Me and Joaquin Soria, he's also one of our other coaches. And dude, it's crazy down here in Scottsdale. Like Joaquin Soria is one of our coaches. Johnny Gomes has been one of his coaches. Mark Mulder's been one of his coaches. I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think. I've seen like 20 guys in my head. Like
that's a place for athletes to retire. I mean, a lot of them go there obviously for spring training with some of these clubs, but in all sports, a lot of athletes there, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, dude! The amount of Major League Baseball players these kids have just been like hanging out with, and not realizing like, oh, that's a 5-time All-Star, and he's sitting down next to you because his kid's on your team. Like Matt Holliday's youngest son was on our team for a little bit, and then we transitioned to another team because he's a year too young, and so we were just hanging out. The kids had no idea. Like, dude, this is Holliday, man. Like, he's one of the best hitters of his generation, and they're. To him, it's some dad that got in the way of them going into the batting cage. Like, dude, come on, get out of the cage. Like, let me hit.
They got to Google and see who some of these guys are, right? They're not just dads.
But it's so normalized down here. Yeah. It's I can't even think of the amount of like major league players, or even like professional golfers or professional football players that just happen to be, John's dad. They don't even realize.
Well, you have a unique distinction when you look up guys who play Major League Baseball, right? You know this. You're the number one person in David Aardsma, and you replaced Hank Aaron. And he's gone. You're number one. Is that a point of pride for you, obviously?
I love it. So I always said, though, I never wanted to be known for that. If I am known for that, it's pretty cool. I want to be like, he was a great teammate, great person. Heck of a ball player. And now, again, I had a really solid career. I didn't have a Hall of Fame career by any means. I should have made an all-star team, and I definitely could have been better at times, definitely could have been worse at times. So I had a great career. And you know what? If that's what you're known for, man, freaking awesome, man. How cool is that? I was on Jeopardy a couple times. That's pretty neat. I have a picture of it with Alex Trebek signed it for me and said, like, I wrote a little something on there. And so, like, that's pretty dang cool. And to be, one of the fun things is I beat Hank Aaron before Barry Bonds did when we were teammates. So I had a little something, like, when we were hanging out one day, I let him know that.
Well, that's not all you're known for, but that is a side note of what you're known for. But I'm assuming you're on social media. How can people follow you and, again, see what you're doing, see what you have coming up? broadcast-wise as well.
Absolutely. The DA53 on Twitter, on Instagram, everything kind of the DA53. Batter's Box, that's our other business. Top Velocity Pro is the business down here. Pitching wise, reach out to me anytime. I'm good on social media. I'm not great. I probably need to be better. It just takes so much time. But my phone number's on there. You'll find it. I don't hide anything. If you ever want to talk about pitching, want to talk about baseball or anything, man, just reach out, send a message, and I'm on there.
Well, there you go. Well, it's great to catch up. I don't know if you remember, you played for the Fayetteville Swamp Dogs here in North Carolina.
Absolutely.
I think in between Penn State and Rice, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. So the summer, summer after Penn State.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where I first met you, doing broadcasting some of those games for a radio station in town. But certainly always followed your career and rooted for you.
How fun was that?
That was
the first year ever, the Swamp Dogs. And It was the hottest summer I had ever spent in my life in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I loved it, man. That was so much fun, traveling the Coastal Plains League.
Yeah, that was a really good league. Still exists in here. We've got the Wilmington Sharks in town. I think one year I spent time with the Wilson Toms when Justin Verlander was there as well. So it's put out a lot of major league guys, including yourself. So, David, it's great to catch up with you and great to see you doing some outstanding things, and certainly be watching you and following you with some of the Little League World Series coming up here as well.
Dude, awesome. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. And again, anytime. Next time, I'll make sure I'm a little bit more on time. But yes.
Another great conversation. We appreciate David Aardsma for joining us here today. Again, that side note, he is the number one player if you look up those who played Major League Baseball ahead of Hank Aaron, but certainly known for a lot more than just that. We thank once again Nithan Ramachandra with NR Media. He helped us arrange that sit down here today. So we certainly appreciate him and all the great guests that he has provided for us as well. And as always, we thank you for listening and watching and invite you to like, to subscribe, and to share what we're doing. Great guests, great stories in all sports, including Major League Baseball with David Aardsma here today. For J.R. Quitman, our creator and producer and director behind the scenes, I'm Mike Vaccaro. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, another episode of In the Front Row. Have a great day, everybody.